I got to hide.
Well, you're live now, so everybody sees it.
Sees what? What do they see? What? What you talking about?
Did you go put the makeup on?
No,
Hey,
everything's
do you
good,
want
man.
to
What you
tell?
doing?
Hold on, Greg. Do you want to tell everybody what you told me when you called me earlier about this guy?
I've been saying it. Caleb Williams is a dude.
That's not
Like
what you said.
it's. I said that
You added
he's
a little
better
bit
than a
more to it.
lot of young quarterbacks in the NFL that were
Okay,
drafted
so now you're going there.
a year or two ago. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, all right.
I'll leave
Giving
it
up
at
the
that.
house, giving up everything for him, huh?
Did it for another quarterback.
So another quarterback would happen to be Trey Lance. So
I got
when
another
you
quarterback that's playing against him this week in the
okay, Nate, he's at
Pac-12,
Utah, right?
Pac-12 championship game. Yes,
Okay, let's go, Nate. Let's go.
let's just bring Nate on. Nate, what do you think of Caleb Williams?
So when you see somebody like him, right? You see Caleb Williams, you see what he's doing. What goes through your mind as someone who watches quarterbacks, you train quarterbacks? I mean, you have hundreds of quarterbacks that come through and you train, and then you just see some of the little things, right? And we've had some of these discussions where you say, man, there's just little things like sometimes guys are so good, it's hard to find things to correct. I guess let's ask that question. If you had Caleb Williams, what do you think, okay, hey, let's work on this from what you've seen with his game.
Sorry, I got distracted. He offered me 2 tickets to the Pac-12 championship game. You want to go to the game
Yeah, bro, in Vegas?
in Vegas
I'll meet you there. I swear to God, I'll meet you there.
with Nate?
Yeah, bro, you said 2 tickets to the Pac-12 championship game. I will meet you in Vegas on Friday.
I said I'm on the Niners podcast. Can I hit you back? Everything good? He said, "Yep." Just asking if you wanted to go to the game on Friday. I got 2 extra tickets.
Tell him yes, so he don't give them to nobody else. This is a live transaction y'all seeing
This
right
is
here.
live transactions going on here. Yeah.
Shout out to Nate. Let's go, man. Let's go.
What? You're being serious?
Dead ass, I'm serious. I will meet you in Vegas. Digo said we need 3 tickets.
No, I'm not. Look, and then
What up,
don't tell
Digo?
Don't tell Chris or Roscoe is gonna be in here telling he wants 4 tickets.
Or no,
this is gonna
Donald
keep-
already called me earlier. Like, man, you trying to go? You trying to go to the Pac-12 championship?
What if you?
I'm
what are
like,
you gonna tell him?
man, I don't know. I was like,
Maybe
I'm
if-
trying.
if
I'm
I
spending a
don't
lot of money,
go-
but you got free tickets. I'm there.
All right, this is gonna be an interesting weekend. I got a bunch of quarterbacks playing in section. No, excuse me.
Cause you could fly
North
back,
Cal
or you could
State.
drive. Would you drive real quick? Would you drive to?
I
Would you
don't
drive
know.
to Vegas?
It just depends on the flights coming back that night. I could fly out of here and I'm there in 45 minutes. Driving, it's about 5 hours, but it's whether the flight is going to be on time coming back. I don't trust like whatever airlines. It's usually like the late flight is Allegiant, and I don't trust them.
Right. I wouldn't trust Allegiant either. So just drive, and I'll meet you there.
I might have to.
Pick me up from the airport.
It's like across the street. Yeah, a 5-minute Uber ride, 10-minute Uber ride. But yeah, we're gonna have to figure this out. I told Nate, I said I'll call you shortly. So he'll be all right.
All right, so we come on here. We're going to talk about 49ers. We're going to dive into the film. All right, we will. I promise you guys. Of course, I am Eric Crocker. I got the wrong thing up, dude. Why didn't you tell me?
Yeah, well, I didn't even notice. You just dove right into things here.
All right, well, I'm Eric Crocker. This is Greg Panelli, quarterback extraordinaire. All right, and he called me earlier and said I would trade Trey Lance and everything else for Caleb Williams. And I did want to come on and ask you, does it stop at Trey Lance, or is it? It's Trey Lance. It's Justin Fields. It's Trevor Lawrence. It's
Did
Mac
I say
Jones.
that?
It's
Or did those? All right, listen. I think that Caleb Williams. My argument for Caleb Williams. Obviously, I grew up a USC fan. We obviously got Crocker on the USC train a couple
Hold
years
on.
ago. I think it was,
I'm not
you were
just on the train.
You were
I'm
a free agent. You were a free agent like 2 years ago, looking for a college football team, and I said, "Come on over. It's rough right now, but come on over."
It was rough, and what I committed, it was rough. And that night I committed, USC got destroyed by Iowa, right? So I'm sticking through the tough times.
And I said,
And
"Hang tight,
if we're
hang
being
tight."
if we're being truthful, I've always been like a USC fan. I love Pac-12. I love their football, and my fandom started to switch because I grew up watching Miami. I grew up watching McGahee, Frank Gore, Santana Moss, Andre Johnson, right? Like I grew up watching that. And I'm like, man, Ed Reed, Sean Taylor, like the list goes on and on. Like those are my guys. And as I got older, especially when I went off to college, I'm like, dude, they don't really fuck with West Coast football here. Like, fuck the South, right? So that's what I'm thinking. So it's like, no, I'm going to be a Pac-12 fan. I was like USC. Like, so I always liked them, but it was like me holding on to that one thing where it's like, you still kind of got to be a Miami fan because that's what you really grew up on. And then it just got to the point where like, man, F these Miami dudes, man, they can't do nothing for me. I'm going to commit to a school. I knew all along it was going to be USC, but because I've always just liked USC. But
So that's the thing. Like when Fresno State played USC this year, I was gonna go, and then I'm like, okay, well, obviously I trained the Fresno State quarterbacks, but then they're playing SC, and so I gotta like root for the Fresno State guys. But then you also want USC. It's in a predicament. I'm always put in these predicaments, so it's tough to really nail down a team now. Like Nate, one of my quarterbacks I've trained for 4 years since he was an 8th grader, gets a scholarship to University of Utah. Now Utah's playing in the Pac-12 title. If they win, they're going to the Rose Bowl. Probably get more tickets to the Rose Bowl game. If they lose, USC moves on to the playoff. They're probably going to get destroyed by Georgia because they can't stop anything on defense, but at least they made it this year.
Yeah, they're not there yet, right? When we talk about USC,
their defense is not there yet. That's the problem. Their defense is not there, but they can score on anybody, I would say, from what we've seen so far.
They have exceeded or superseded really any expectations I had for them this year. Yep. The way I saw it was, all right, USC, they come in, you got this new coach, they're getting these transfers and stuff like that, still trying to kind of recover from a bad class in 2020. 2021, the class was a little better, right, or a lot better. And it's like, all right, then they got these transfers in, like, they'll compete. And I thought that they'd just be in the mix for the Pac-12 championship game, but I didn't know that it was like, not only are they in the mix, but they're the number 4 team in the nation right now.
Right.
Like they are in the, if the college football playoffs started today, no, matter of fact, we'll take it a step further. If they beat Utah this Friday, they will be in the Pac-12 championship game.
No.
I mean, excuse me, they'll be in the playoffs. My bad.
Yes.
They'll be in the college football playoffs.
Yep. And so then likely they're playing Georgia, right? Unless for some reason, the only reason I could see them jumping TCU, right? That's the 3rd ranked team.
Yeah, who's undefeated?
Would be absolutely annihilating Utah, which Utah was the team that beat them for their only loss this year. So I can't see them blowing them out. Like Utah doesn't really get blown out by teams, so I can't see that happening. But I could see the USC Georgia matchup given the fact that if USC was going to win. But it's like that scenario a couple of years ago where USC beat Penn State in the Rose Bowl with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold played a hell of a game. They couldn't stop Saquon Barkley.
Best game Sam Darnold has.
It was like ridiculous, but it was a ridiculous, like one of the best college football games I've ever watched.
Yeah.
And then next year they got to go play, I think it was the next year, Ohio State, and just get demolished by Ohio State. And so
that USC team was a little.
The USC team was different.
Depleted.
I get it.
Offensive linemen were hurt.
They couldn't match up front. They just had no matchup whatsoever. They're playing, Nick Bosa, I believe. I don't think Joey was there, but they were playing.
I think it was Nick and the kid that went number 1 overall to the Commanders. Young.
Oh yeah,
Chase Young.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
those
come
guys.
on, they had some monsters, and the best receiver on USC was Burnett.
Yeah, it was rough. And I think, Amon-Ra wasn't even there yet. So I don't think he was there yet, actually. He might have been, but he was young if he was. So anyways, Croc, they think your Edison hat is a Grambling hat.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's not Grambling. That's not Grambling. That is Edison, Southside Stockton. I coached there. Shout out to my guy, Coach Raleigh Brown there. Raleigh, true freshman, returning kicks and playing. Scored a touchdown in his last game for USC. True freshman. So, but yeah, Digo. Oh my bad.
But I'll ask you this. I'm going to flip the script here.
All
I'm
right.
going to flip the script on you because I know everyone's going to want to give me some heat about the whole. I'm looking at some Caleb Williams thing really quick. Everyone's going to want to give me heat about the Caleb Williams thing, and that's fine.
I don't think so. I think people feel that. Like
But realistically, if he was coming out this year, okay, and you had to make some trades, or there's another team down south in the same city that Caleb Williams plays in right now that's going to make a run at him, would you rather him go there, or would you make some adjustments to try and make sure that he's on your team? Because do you really want to deal with something like as we've seen it and the projections and what he does? Because what Caleb, and I explained this earlier too, like what Caleb Williams is and what he plays like, he freestyles a lot, and I think that's good at the level that he's at in the NFL. You can't do it as much, and you got to be a little bit more a part of the offense and on time with throws. But when he does it, he looks so controlled. Everything looks like it's playing at his pace, not everybody else's pace. And the guys in the NFL that are doing that, we talked about it, Pat, Josh, Russell Wilson used to do those things, right? So, like, you know, you can want to throw Lamar in there, that's fine. But the two guys that everybody wants their quarterback, it seems like, to be now is what he's doing at USC, right? Would you agree there? For the most part.
Agree. For the most part, yeah.
So,
and a lot of people didn't get to see Mahomes really play, right? Like he wasn't playing in important games at Texas Tech. But if you put him on, let's say, like a USC where he might play more in the spotlight, or any team where he's going to get more national coverage, I think everybody would have seen how he was doing special things, and then he would have been the Heisman candidate that Caleb Williams is right now.
Right. And so, given that, would you want to see them potentially miss on somebody like that and him go somewhere else that you have to play? Or would you say, screw it, we got to find a way to get Caleb Williams, whether that means we have to give up the quarterback we drafted a couple years ago and maybe one more player to get there?
Caleb Williams, the fact that he paints his fingernails, it kind of bothers me just a little bit.
But he does it for his mom because his mom is a nail tech. I'll leave it at that.
So his mom's a nail tech.
We are not trying to get canceled here, Croc. This is 2022. Okay.
No, I'm just saying.
This is 2022. But I get what you're saying. And he did against UCLA. He painted them, but he painted them FUCK UCLA.
I saw that.
So, and he also was wearing some Nike hooves, is what the Grinch hooves is what it looked like in his outfit the other day. I don't know what they were.
We got to show people that. USC had it, right?
It was off the charts.
All right, hold on, y'all. Y'all got to see this.
I was a little. It had like the Kyler Murray business bell-bottom suit going on with like the I forget what they call them, Nike. Some shoes that Nike's making, but they look like hooves with green Grinch hair coming off of them. It was wild. They should have known when he shows up like that, it probably wasn't going to go good for him, because that dude, if you show up like that, you got to think somebody's probably capable of doing anything to you that day. And it was wild. It was wild. So, yeah, but his mom is a nail tech. I sent it to you. I texted it to you.
Yeah, but I'm trying to pull it up on the thing. Yeah, that was really wild.
I'm gonna send it to you in a tweet message.
Yeah,
but it was wild nonetheless. So yeah, if the fingernail polish stuff is gonna bother you, then probably not.
They said his shoes were on the Nike website. Those were Nikes?
They are Nikes. Yes.
They look like the Grinch who stole Christmas.
Yeah, I know. They might be the Grinch Nikes. I don't know, but that's the Kobe's or something like that, right? Which the running back from the Eagles had those on. The Kobe Christmas ones, and they're clean. Super clean.
Did you send it to me?
I did.
Hold on.
I am a fan, big time, of shoes, obviously. But the shoes he had on were just a little bit. They're like the Nike flea markets or something like that. Cactus plant, yeah. Somebody said it. Cactus plant flea markets or whatever they are. So it's yeah, wild. Take something to pull those off.
Let's zoom in on these bad boys. The bag, okay, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you got the
Fresh with
Louis bag there. He's good, but those bad boys right there, those are something else. He should have just put some cleat bottoms on those things and then went out there with some leggings on and went after it. the pants are wild too. Like the get up is, he's got some swag to him, but that swag is just completely different.
I will say this. When it comes to fashion, and I'm not this fashion forward type guy, man. I wear my homies' hoodies and stuff, and I got my own hat on. I'm not fashion forward. But I do know that part of fashion is being bold.
Yeah.
So that he is being bold, right? Like lot of guys, there are a lot of people that just wouldn't wear, I wouldn't wear them shits. But a big part of it is just being bold enough to wear it.
Got lemon pepper steppers.
All right.
Those ones were crazy. Those ones are wild. But hey, I'm sure those things are going to sell like crazy.
You think so? Because he wore them?
For sure. Well, they already would, because I'm sure there's got to be a limited amount that they're making, and I bet they're probably $1,000 on StockX right now, or one of these, whatever. So, yeah. Anyways,
49ers.
I think he's gonna win the Heisman. That's just my take on it.
I think he's going to win the Heisman.
He still has another year of football to play, and I think he's very talented. So
he beat Utah. Heisman's his. You can hand it to him.
yeah.
Because they wouldn't play the playoff game and get destroyed by Georgia until after the Heisman ceremony. So
Right.
And I hope they beat Georgia, obviously, but that defense is that defense
I know,
is
that's
different.
the thing though. They can't look past Utah, because Utah got them already once.
USC was up multiple touchdowns, and they were out there. They were in Utah. It was just kind of the moment, and all that going on. They'll
But
be
if
all
we
right.
do go to the game, we're going to be sitting in the Utah section. You know that, right?
I'm good. Whatever. I won't.
Put the USC
that ain't no
jersey
problem.
under the hoodie.
That ain't no problem.
All right.
All right. 49ers. We're about to get into their film right now. Let's first talk about just your thoughts. Team scores 13 points. There are a lot of people that are like, oh no, 49ers only scored 13 points. They can't do that in the playoffs. Obviously, we know that. But you were talking about something that you think teams might do, or what you would do to the 49ers. So we talked on the phone about this. Can you explain what it was that you might be seeing and something that could possibly give the 49ers trouble? Their offense.
I don't understand. I mean, we obviously see how the 49ers offense is built, and Shanahan calls a lot of things that are over the middle of the field. Jimmy throws a lot of things that are over the middle of the field, but more so in the scheme. And the more that I watch the film and start to break down the film, the offense, it's not necessarily just Jimmy throwing dump-off routes because Jimmy wants to check it down constantly. The more that I watch the film is yes, there is times where there could be shots downfield, but it's not a ton of times where guys are open. And there's a ton of route concepts that are built really in two-man routes with a check down, and the two guys are covered, so he's forced to throw the check down. And I'll give him praise. A lot of it's not the sexiest thing in the world to watch, but there's multiple times this game where the Saints are dropping 7 guys, they're dropping 8 guys. They played that Tampa 2 a ton, and there's really nothing downfield for him to throw to. Excuse me. There's nothing for him to throw to. So, in all reality, I guess you should be thankful, right, that he's not trying to force some of these throws down the field when it's just completely covered. So I think that the Niners have to come up. I would be shocked if the Dolphins didn't come out and play the Niners very, very similar to how the Saints played them, because they figured out a recipe. They stopped the run for the most part with their front, and they played a lot of Tampa 2 or a lot of drop 8 coverage and made the 49ers try and pick them apart. And they took advantage of it when they had it, but there wasn't a ton of opportunities for them to throw the ball or push the ball down the field. So obviously McDaniels knows how to run that offense like the back of his hand, what can stop that offense. And I would anticipate him sitting in the defensive meetings all week, ready to rock and roll on how to really shut down this offense. So it's probably, they're going to have to put their big boy pants on this week because it's going to be tough. Like this one is probably going to be the toughest one, in my opinion. I think the Seahawks game is obviously going to be tough, but I would think this is going to be the toughest matchup for them, given the fact that McDaniel's on the other sideline.
All right, so Amy here says, and good evening, Amy. She says, will we get Big Jim or Mini Jim this Sunday? And you started talking about the offense, and okay, there's not a ton of shots. There's not these plays that are a ton of plays, right, that are schemed up for downfield shots, right? There might be that one here and there that you can potentially take a shot, and we've seen that play typically go viral each week if the 49ers don't take it, or Jimmy Garoppolo. But the way that Kyle's calling the offense, and you kind of put it on him, is he calling the offense this way because he thinks this is what Jimmy Garoppolo's strengths are? So if a team just takes that away, are you just kind of stuck? Does Kyle feel handcuffed because of what Jimmy's strengths and weaknesses are?
At this rate, he should. There's obviously a reason why he brought him back, and that's the conversation I go back to. It's like, why would he, if he was that handcuffed with Jimmy, then why would he even want him back then? You know what I'm saying? So I think that he runs it efficient enough to win games, obviously, but when when teams are giving you a certain scheme and you don't have a ton of answers for that scheme, repetitive, and it shows constantly over the time or the course of the game, that's not necessarily going to fall on Jimmy. And as I watched the tape, I spent 2 hours on the first half of the game. I really didn't even get into the second half, just because I was watching a lot of the O-line stuff and the running back stuff. And like I said, they didn't really block great up front this past game. There was a lot of errors up front. There was a lot of route concepts that were running into each other. There was a lot of route concepts that were running into defenders deep. That it just looked like they didn't necessarily have a great answer and never really made adjustments for what the Saints were doing. And as an offensive coordinator, yeah, obviously you scheme the first 15, 20-ish plays of a game and see what they're giving you, and how do you make those adjustments thereafter. It really didn't seem like they made a ton of adjustments. So that drop 8 coverage, drop 7, drop 8 coverage is tough to beat. Realistically, if they do that, okay, we should be able to run the ball, theoretically, right? And when the run's not working and somebody continues to drop 7 or 8 every single time, then you're pretty much screwed if you don't have a great scheme for it. The best way to kind of beat some Tampa stuff is throwing it outside, smash routes, high-lowing the corners. But they played it gives you an opportunity when, as a defense, when you have a Mike backer that's sprinting out, so he gets his eyes to number 2, and he's basically sprinting, right, to cover the middle of the field. Now the safeties can play a little bit wider. So it starts to take away the stuff to the outside. And it makes it a little bit harder and forces you to play more of the underneath stuff or tighter, or the windows become a lot tighter. And there was a couple opportunities in this game where they did have that, but then there was pressure in his face. He couldn't step into the throws. He didn't get to the check down in time. So just overall execution of the offense, going from play calling to O-line and everybody involved in the offense, even Jimmy, it wasn't their greatest execution, and obviously it showed from a points perspective. And that's not anything to take away from the Saints. The Saints played really good that day. I would say their defense holding the Niners to 13 points is probably a win for them, right? And that's a loss for their offense. But overall, just not ideal, especially with this offense.
All right, so where would you like to start with this film? And we got Josue here. He says, we need the rapper again. We got to get Donald.
We do got to get Donald on here. Donald the rapper. Donald's been taking a beating on Underdog Fantasy lately.
Yeah, well, he just hit, and he also hit. And we got a storm here. They said something about a tornado might hit, but I'll be all right.
In the midst of the podcast, that would be a hell of a podcast right there. Tornadoes outside. Croc is just going over film, watching all 22.
Right. Hey, man, I'll die for this shit, man. If Donald was a 49er receiver, who do you think he plays like?
If Donald was a 49ers receiver, who would he play?
Right. And Donald, for those of you who don't know, he's been on here before. It's my best friend. He's like my brother. If y'all have seen me out, and a lot of y'all have seen me at different 49er events and stuff like that, he's typically the one with me with the tattoos on his face and stuff. But he was actually a good college receiver at Modesto Junior College. So,
I would. Oh man, who does he play like?
maybe I'd say probably Jawan Jennings.
I was gonna say Jawan Jennings.
Yeah, he played
good
like
possession receiver. He's not gonna blow the doors off you vertically, but he can block. He does what he's supposed to do. He's a good leader, and he'll annoy the shit out of DBs and find ways to get into their head. Yeah. And that's what Jawan Jennings does a really good job of.
Yeah, he murdered Chris Harris with an out route, and it was very subtle.
We got that on there.
It wasn't the like, oh my god, like it wasn't like a Justin Jefferson mixing a guy and having to go the other way. But I like those things that I think will be like more consistent, like right being able to beat a guy with just kind of this stair step out route, and the way he did it, just a subtle push up, step out, and it was like, whoa, he created massive separation on that.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Let's get into this film. I got to figure out exactly how I'm going to do this. You talk to me. I won't be able to see the chat while I'm doing this because for whatever reason my screen is still out. It might be my little adapter piece.
The tornadoes coming. It's knocked out.
But here we go.
We're going to the first one. I think it was at 3 minutes and 57 seconds. It was at second and long. This was that drop 8 coverage that we were talking about. So really it's smash concept. And this was one that I thought Jimmy missed here. This is a good way to kind of beat that drop 8 coverage. So go ahead and pause it right at the start here. So you got, from a numbers perspective, yep, right there. So from a numbers perspective, you got that the strong safety that's playing off over Kittle. And then you got the DB outside shade. So Debo's going to push out the backfield. He's going to basically hitch it up and run a little stop route out of the backfield. And Kittle's going to push behind him. So we're trying to high-low the corner. So the corner is the read on this. Okay? And
to the boundary of the field, but to the top.
To the field, to the top there with Kittle.
Yeah.
So from a protection standpoint, I believe it's scat protection because both the running back and Deebo Samuel are out on this. So numbers look great. And Jimmy ends up coming off of this a little bit too soon because he really has Kittle on the corner route and just needs to trust the throw it high and away towards the sideline, layered throw right over the defensive back. So the DB is going to try and play both, right? He's going to try and bait you into throwing one or the other and try and make a play on either. And you'll see here he looks off of Kittle, I think, just a touch too soon. So stop it right there. So see how the DB's sitting flat-footed? And then we have
how do you not throw that to Kittle? Am I tripping?
We have leverage on the
hold on, Greg.
Safety.
If I know that Kittle is going out or corner, and he's probably going to take it kind of high, with the corner sitting flat-footed and the safety kind of inside leverage, how long I throw that 2 ball to Kittle? Is you like,
especially with his eyes. So if you look at Jimmy's looking at the middle of the field right now, and he sees number 97. So this is an 8-man drop here. So some guys will call it like 220, which is like Tampa 2 or 22. With would be like their nickel. 22 is their nickel, and then 20 would be their or like the 0 on the back of it would be like their drop 8, so 220. But it's Tampa 2 here, so the Mike backer sprinting out, and then they drop off the D lineman to basically play the underneath. So they're robbing underneath, or they're baiting underneath with 97 right there in the middle, and that Tampa 2 backer is out deep. So he's taking deep middle away. Number 97 is taking the dig away. You should know right away, I'm going to work the cover 2 side. Or I'm going to high-low and make the numbers easy. Right here, Kittle's open to the sideline, and he looks away from him. So that's one of those ones. this was like the first drive of the game where I looked at it and I had to go back and think, damn it, like this was an easy one that we had. I'm not saying it would have been a touchdown, but it should have been one of those throws that we would have for sure. You would think that they would have maximized or capitalized on because he was wide open.
And with Kittle and how hard he runs.
All it needs to be throwing 2 ball layered hard with an arc to the sideline away from the safety, and it's money.
Yeah.
So that was one of those ones where you would have liked to see him hang on there a little bit longer, but he doesn't, and it is what it is. So
good protection.
Good protection there. Everything was good. He's got to pull the trigger. That's it.
So when you are a quarterback, let's say you don't pull the trigger on that. What would be a reason why you're like, I'm gonna shy away from that? Because those are the things, right? We talk about what's the difference between a Mahomes, a Jimmy G, who you see his completion percentage is high and he can make some of these throws, right? But why is it that Mahomes is so much more special, or he's doing some things? Is it just, I'm going to let this whole rip right here? Like, is that part of it?
That's basically what it's got to be at the end of the day. You got to just say, screw it. I mean, you got to take the risk. Sometimes you got to take risks, and I get it. You're in the red zone. You don't want to, but he's sitting flat-footed there. You know, and if you miss, here's the thing. If you miss, you live to see another play, obviously, right? You live to see another play. So throw it high and away. If you miss it, no harm, no foul. You throw it to the sideline away from the safety. If he drops it, okay, we're good with it. But you can't. Right, you got to pull the trigger. We got a guy right here.
Have at you. He says he was afraid of the CB undercutting it. So what you're saying is, all right, like, okay, if you're afraid of the CB who's flat-footed, right? CB's flat-footed. That's something that you can identify while dropping back. Hell, we talk about that play from Josh Allen where middle of the play, Josh Allen sees guys bust coverage. He's pointing to a guy. Like, as soon as the ball is snapped, he's seeing it right now, right? Yep, and he's telling this guy, hey, go that way. He does it, and he still makes an amazing throw. But even with this, it's like, Jimmy, you got to see right now, be able to identify that the corner is he's flat-footed. That should be the first read if you know you're trying to high-low a corner.
Well, the first read, realistically, in this, as he takes a snap and he looks at the safeties to see if they're going to rotate down the, whether one's rolling into or buzz into the flat, one's going to the hole. You see the Mike Backer sprint. He turns and runs, right? So he'll get his eyes to number 2, sprint and turn. You know, okay, where I'm working, that side of the field, he had a bender with a dig on the right underneath it. That is all taken away now, right? Because 97 dropped off. So in Tampa, the backer's gone. The dig would have been great in theory to Juwan Jennings, but because 97 dropped off, he undercut the dig. So now in Tampa, you got to understand, and I think that's what fooled him. At the end of the day, that's what fooled him. He knew, okay, the Mike Backer's pushing out, and once the Mike Backer pushed to depth, he knew he'd have the dig underneath. The Saints did a good job of dropping 8 right there and brought the D lineman from a 3-point stance and basically undercut the dig route. So that was a win from the Saints defense, but he goes from the middle of the field back to the high low on the corner and just doesn't pull the trigger. He looks and then he comes off too early. Instead, and I get it, you don't want the defensive back to undercut it, but that's why the ball is thrown a little bit more firm and over the top towards the sideline away from the safety, so you don't even give the opportunity for the defensive back to make a play on it. So that's what we call a 2-ball.
Jimmy Garoppolo, we talked about, fashion, right? And part of being fashion is being bold, being confident. And Jimmy off the field, he wore to the Cardinals game this like salmon colored suit.
Oh yeah,
and it was fire, right? But it's like that's bold, right? Be that bold on the field.
Yeah, and I think he does. He shows flashes of it. Like he's shown flashes of it from time to time. But he'll show a flash of it, and then he'll go back, and then he'll show a flash of it instead of just like own it, dude. Like, you were the backup this year, anyways. What do you got to lose at this point? I get it; it's money for the upcoming season. I don't think Jimmy's playing as a money motivation season. You're in the NFL.
You already made $130 million.
Yeah, you already made $100 and something million. Like, the guy's just playing, and I will say, there's a couple like there's that play, and then you go watch some of the other ones, and you're like, holy shit, dude. Like, Jimmy was ripping the ball. Like this next throw, I think it's the next throw right here where he throws it's a corner route. Yeah, it's the corner route here. And It's smash concept. And so I don't know what Debo is doing here. Like, I don't know if
Wait,
Kyle's
you want me
telling
to
Debo.
press play right here?
You could press play. So this one right here, it's the same type of thing. 3rd and long. It's a combo coverage. So the safety rolls down. They're playing man to one side. And this is where it looks like so that safety rolls down from the middle of the field, okay? And then they'll rotate the other one deep, okay? So that's exactly what the Broncos were doing to them.
And why is the safety rolling down to the middle of the field?
To take away everything from the middle, just exactly like what the Broncos did. Right there. Right. See the safety rolls to the middle, and he's going to play that little cover 3 buzz right underneath, but that's like they're zoned to the far side and they're manned up on the bottom here. So the little combo coverage. Okay. And then Jimmy hangs in there and takes a shot to the face and somehow gets the ball out. Yeah, and I'll give Jimmy some serious props for this one because we'll go back and look at it here in a second, and the O-line just gets torched on the two guys.
Oh, my gosh.
We got guys running into each other. There's multiple plays like this throughout the game. But we'll see it here. So pause it really quick, Croc. Jimmy just missed the throw prior to Kittle, and then he comes back with this. I give him props. He hangs in there, boom, drills it, hangs in there, gets a shot to his face. But look at from Brendel over the right side of our line here. You got McGlinchey, who's going to set wide to Cam Jordan right here on the wide 9 technique, right outside of Kittle. I don't even know if you want to call that a 9. It's even further. He's coming, right? He's way wide. And then they try and do a little stunt with 55 and the other down lineman that's playing defensive end over to Trent Williams' side. So go ahead and roll it and check out what happens here with the offensive line.
Oh, it was Brendel that got punked like that?
Yeah.
He gets shoved
right into, what is that?
Spencer Burford.
I'm sorry, Burford. He gets shoved right into Burford, and they both go tumbling down. Watch right here.
It does look silly. If I'm Burford, I'm mad. Like, bro, what are you doing?
So
anchor down.
They knew what they were doing. They did this so many times this game, and it happened multiple times. This exact same scenario happened multiple times. And Jimmy was throwing with guys in his face. Just like that.
Now this is good, Jimmy.
This is a good throw. This is this is hanging in tight. You know it's not going to feel great throwing this ball. Boom. The ball's out. Perfect ball to, was it Ray?
Yeah.
Money. I'll give him that right there. That is
can you hear that?
Very solid. Yeah, is that Thunder?
Yeah, it's Thunder.
Oh, no. If Croc gets knocked out of here, I'm going to have to just run my own StreamYard here. We'll have to go to Twitter and do it.
Where would you like to go now? Or
let's go to 605. So 605, it was the exact same coverage where they're dropping 8. You'd like to see on this one, you want to see Jimmy throw this ball a little bit more layered, and we'll get to it right here. This was the one that was almost picked off on the bottom here. So this is a natural smash concept again, and the freaking Saints, dude, they were like, run it at us. We don't give a shit. Look at the box. Look at the box.
So
they do not care.
Let's tell some people what a smash concept is, because I know my guy Digo's in the chat. He knows what a smash concept is, but maybe a lot of fans that are in the chat right now don't know. So essentially,
first of all, let's just go back one. Okay, so let's look at a box count. So explain to them what the box is.
Oh, you're saying
the tackle, the box
here,
right there. Okay, we're gonna count the DN because realistically we know he's coming.
Right. So you got 4. You got 6 in the box.
I wouldn't.
Are you gonna count these safeties because they're kind of tight?
I wouldn't count that. I wouldn't count him, and I wouldn't count that backer either. Right there.
You wouldn't count him?
Not really. Maybe you can. Okay, but we got 6 right there. Okay, max, but it's really 5. But you can say 6 if you want. Yeah. So we widen them out. So the numbers up top are already screwed. Look how many guys we got up top. 3 to cover 4, right? 3 guys up top on the 3-man route concept. On the 3-man route concept up top. and then you got Kittle and Ayuk down here on the bottom. So Jimmy works the right side of the field, but it's a smash concept. So like I said, smash is high on typically it's a corner with something underneath to basically put the defensive back in a predicament, in a cover 2 situation or in a zone situation where he's going to have to make a decision whether he's going deep or staying on the low end. Okay, and Crocker can explain how that's played at another time, but basically they'll play and open up and try and play both. Okay, so when you're throwing a corner route against the cover 2 corner, it has to be firm and layered enough to get over the corner, but also drop in firm enough to where the safety can't make a play on it. And this one right here, this one was way too flat. And I think it took a little bit longer for Ayuk to maybe get out of the top of his route, but still Jimmy threw it too flat. This ball's got to be towards the back pylon, a little bit more layered, and just trust it.
All right, let's.
So the numbers look great. Like that's the side of the field he should have gone to. So again, they're dropping that 8.
This is hard when you have the corner, and I'll kind of rewind this a little bit, but
the corner does a good job here.
I thought he played it well.
Yeah,
I think he's in position.
See how he opens up right there, and that. So I get it. I get why. So Jimmy looks and sees the corner doing that, and he starts to open up. So if you're going to throw this, and Ayuk is not even out of his break yet, and Jimmy already threw the ball. So I think that Jimmy saw the corner open up and thought, okay, I got to throw this ball to Kittle now, because he was going to take the deep part or the deep route with Ayuk, and instead the corner still has his eyes right down the middle or down back to the quarterback, and so okay, I got to throw this ball where the NFC logo is. You got to throw that thing to the back or the top end of that NFC logo into the pylon. And it took a little bit long to develop. But again, it's the Saints drop 8 right here. They drop 8. You're literally dropping 8 and everything is much more condensed. As a quarterback here, much more condensed when you're in the red zone and on the goal line like this. It's hard to pass against defenses like this, and it seemed like we didn't have an answer. And this is what I was talking about earlier. It just seemed like we didn't have an answer for this all game. This would be one of those answers, but I think it needs to develop a little bit quicker. So instead they turned it into a field goal. It's not what you want to see out of the 49ers, but it's better than nothing. And so they got away with it. It could have been a picked off ball there. But go to 10:35 really quick. This is the naked boot. Chris was talking about this a couple weeks ago, and a lot of people were asking about this on one of the Twitter conversations, or I forget what those things are.
Yeah, Twitter Spaces.
And they were like, hey, what, because a couple of weeks ago when we played the Chargers, Khalil Mack sacked Jimmy on this exact play, okay? And everybody's like, well, how come the Niners still run this? Why couldn't Jimmy change the protection? Because in a naked boot, you are leaving the guy free on the end. Usually you'll chip flat. So what to do is the number 2 here, which is Jennings, and then when he got sacked, I believe it was Dwelly, they would chip the defensive end and then run a flat route. And then typically the outside receiver would run a go route, an MOR, which is a must outside release, to basically turn the back of the DB, which if you watch right here, Brandon Ayuk does a great job where he'll stem inside and then he'll get back outside. Boom, turn the hips of the corner, and then Kittle's able to catch the ball underneath, right? Pause it right here. Look at Jawan Jennings pointing at the DB. He's probably saying alert, 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 or he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. Maybe Jimmy doesn't hear him. I thought this was balls of steel. When you got a DB that's pushing off the edge like this on naked, your fake better be great, because he goes for the fake on this, and then it allows Jimmy to obviously dump it off to Kittle. And maybe they say screw it, regardless of – this might be one of those plays that doesn't necessarily have a kill call to it, which you're going to roll with it regardless. And that's what my thought was on the last when they ran it against the Chargers. But they run it here, and it works out well, because when he's blitzing, now it turns into a man situation, and that backside safety is the one responsible for Kittle, because the linebackers play on the run.
Backside safety is
the
here,
backside safety up top.
Right here?
Yep, right here. he has to be responsible for Kittle now because the linebackers are biting on the run fake, and that's what allows Kittle to sneak on underneath, and then that backside safety has to play catch up.
Yeah.
So that was good execution. I thought that was a good play, but I thought it was ballsy for Jimmy to still stick with that. 11:35 was the next one I have after this. And this one I wrote, the right side of the line is in shambles. That was my notes for this play. So this was the one I put on Twitter, and it got some good traction on Twitter here. But let's. I just want
we'll
you
get to
watch
the back view, and I do want you because you understand protection and things like that. So
we'll just watch McGlinchey for a second here, and the right side of the line.
So what is McGlinchey doing? Because I had to assume that
Okay, because he's
because he looks like his controller died. But I know like there has to be some logical explanation for.
Okay, so what he's
why
doing,
he
he's going to try. So he thinks that the linebacker is going to come. Okay, but I don't understand why he turns his head. If you think the linebacker is coming, I want to defend him. So if he thinks 53 is coming, why you turn your head right now? You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna pass him off, so right here, it's a play action pass pro. Okay, so
I see what you're saying. If he thinks why is he like so? He never looked at. It's like 53. He maybe looked at the linebacker at the snap, right? Like okay, so, maybe 53 is coming. So right here, maybe 53 is coming. But here, now he engages with 92. If he still thinks that 53 is coming, then okay, he comes off of that and then blocks him. But watch his eyes now. Watch eyes down inside, and then they stay inside and he looks back.
So that just tells me you knew that 53 probably wasn't coming. If he was, he's right past you already. Anyways, so I don't know why he does that, because it looks like this is a scat protection, like a what would this be, like a 2 because it's backwards, 3 jet, probably 3 jet. They're gonna slide. It's basically half man, half slide. You know that Trent and Banks are manned up on the backside, and then they got 3 for 2 on the front side here. So Brendel and Burford, and then McGlinchey's going to help out. So they're going to borrow the center here, and they're sliding it to the right. And you got 3 for 2. 53 doesn't come. McGlinchey's going to help out. He passes him inside to Burford and just does nothing from here on out. So I don't know why he's looking back inside instead of just continuing to help, keeping your shoulders square, like Kenny talked about, right? So you're keeping your shoulders square. If he comes, you'd have your left hand on the defensive lineman, and then if
while looking at
pushes,
53,
now you can make an adjustment to go back outside. But in this case here, he looks back inside. Well, if 53 was coming, he would have went right around your ass anyways.
Right.
So I don't know what's the deal here. And then I think this is the one where they do that stunt and then go ahead and click it one more time and then pause it with Burford and Brendel. It looks like Burford is getting blocked by Brendel right here. Look at this. I watched this and I was dying laughing for about 5 minutes. I'm like, I got to send this to Crocker. And you know what? I got to tweet this out. This is ridiculous. Because this is like, what do you expect the quarterback to do in this case? And it's happening over and over and over this game. They were doing that little stunt shit where they push one and then wrap another underneath. And they were basically, the Niners offensive line was getting manhandled by the defensive linemen. And they were basically blocking them into each other and then wrapping around. And they did it almost all game. There's there's more and more and more plays. And I just didn't even put them on here because I don't want to show the same thing over and over again. But
also too, we have to this offensive line. This is the same offensive line where last week Jimmy didn't even get touched.
Not touched. Yeah, J.J. Watt and who else? I don't even know who else is on the D line. I don't even know, honestly. But yeah, Cowboys did. I mean, the Niners used to do that stunt, and the Saints did this stunt over and over and over and over, literally the whole game. And Brendel and Banks were getting, Brendel and Burford, and then Banks got torched a couple times. There was one of them where Trent Williams gets torched on this. D lineman basically gets low and bull rushes him right back into Jimmy's face. They did not play great. The 49ers O-line was not great. This game, I'll say that. This game, they weren't.
All right, what play do you want next?
So let's go with 1704. 1704. This one was an out route to Kittle, and I thought this was one of the better throws. This is one of those throws where even I watch it, and it's like the hold your breath throw from Jimmy, right? So pause it right here. So number 19 on the bottom here is playing outside shade of Kittle. Okay, so there's two things that are going to happen here. He's either playing man coverage, or they're going to roll it to a one high safety. And why would he play outside when there's a one high safety? Because he can funnel
inside help.
He can funnel him inside. He's got inside help, right? So, and you can already tell pre-snap that one safety's on the 20, the other one's on the 23, 24-yard line. So you know right away it's either man or it's one high safety. Okay, so an out route should work against either one of those coverages. So what does Jimmy do?
The safety down, single high.
Roll the safety down, and they go single high. 27's hanging out. Number 19 goes inside with Debo. Jimmy does a really good job here. Steps up off the hitch and delivers a freaking bullet. And this is like one of those ones, again, with Jimmy in the past, it's like the hold your breath, like, oh, shit. Like, if this is throwing a touch behind Kittle, it's 6 the other way. And Jimmy steps up, and it's like coming out with, like we talked about in the beginning of the year, it's coming out with a lot more velocity. But these aren't a lot of throws that you see Jimmy take. But what I wanted to say here is, given the concept, and this was a really good ball by him, but given the concept, look at everybody else. Nobody else is
locked
up. It happened so much all game. There was like one person that would be open, and Jimmy was responsible to find that person, God forbid. And I get it, like, hey, well, that's the quarterback's job. Well, not necessarily always the quarterback's job when you got concepts that aren't necessarily helping your quarterback out, and then he has to do a full field scan. But luckily, he does a good pre-snap read here. He knows he's got Kittle. The ball's out on time. Really good job here. But there was a lot of plays where there's maybe one guy open, or most of it turned into the check down guy being open and nobody else. So there wasn't a ton of answers for that the coverages that the Saints were throwing at him. So the next one was 1758. Again, man coverage. And so I'll wait till it gets up here. But this is another good ball that Jimmy threw. But this was the one I put on here. I think this is where Jimmy's kind of direct in traffic. Go ahead and let it play out. I think this is the one. Yeah, it is. You don't really see Jimmy do that all that often, right? Where we talked about with Josh doing that, in the midst of the play, where he's waving Ayuk up the field. He's got time, waves him up the field, tells him to go somewhere, and he throws a great ball. He actually throws it. It hits his hands. The DB just made a good play on his hands. But it wouldn't have mattered anyways, because if you notice the end zone tape anyways, McGlinchey got called for a holding on 55 here. But, again, not a lot of people open anyways. You got two.
I did want to kind of show the nickel here, man. This is a really good job. And I want to say it's Tyrann Mathieu, but look how square he is right here, sitting on this route. And when you're square like this, you can break evenly in any direction. So whether he breaks on the out route, in route, post, go, or slot fade, or whatever you want to call it, seam route, or a corner route, he's in a good position to be able to break into any direction that the receiver goes. Boom, receiver breaks inside, he breaks with him. Like, that was good stuff. But go ahead.
So, no, and I was just saying, like, nobody was open on that concept. Jimmy had to wave him up the field, and again, no answer for what they were throwing at us. The defense did a good job, and everybody said, rankings are rankings, whatever people want to say, but at the end of the day, these guys are NFL athletes and good NFL athletes. Every single week that you're playing them, it's how you can make adjustments is where teams get really good. Being able to adjust and having options based off what you're throwing. And Jimmy waves him up the field here. He gives him a good ball. The defense just makes a good play on it. Again, there wasn't much you could do right there. That was something that was off script, but I'll give Jimmy some props for going off script. McGlinchey gets called with a hold anyways. He had his arm wrapped around 55 and should have just let him go and bench pressed him off him, but he didn't. So 22-18. Right. This is some execution here. Jimmy made a good play right there. He stepped up, did a little pop step.
Yeah, I saw that.
So this one right here, I thought this one could have been touchdown or one-on-one with a safety. The end zone camera looks better, but it's toss left. Banks gets beat to the inside here. So Banks is where he's at, 65. So he's got to reach. So they're going to double. Trent and Kittle are going to double right there. And then one of them.
So I assume before watching it, they double and then Kittle moves to the next level?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So Kittle's going to move, obviously, with that leverage. Okay, so Kittle moves to the next level. Banks got to reach and get inside that defensive lineman, right? So he's got to reach now and then turn his ass, basically, to Trent Williams to create a hole. So he got to reach and kind of get his ass to Trent Williams, and now you got that hole. And, okay, so if he blocks him off there.
Because you want this right here, right?
That, right? So then Juszczyk somewhat over pursues, but he gets back in place here, and then watch Juszczyk would end up walling off that defensive back.
Yeah, he ends up getting
anyways. And we would have had it one-on-one with a safety up the field. But there's just those little things. Like I tell you guys every week, they're one little thing away from busting huge plays. And Kyle's dialing these up, and it should work. This should work. If Banks gets outside, boom, everything's going to work there.
So just so y'all are clear with what's going on here, Banks had a reach block where he has to basically wall this defender off to the inside. And it would create a massive hole here, which would leave McCaffrey one-on-one with the safety. So the Banks getting beat, it's a tough block. I don't want to act like...
You know, it is a tough block, but it's not... This is something that they do multiple times a game and work every single week in practice. This is not an out-of-the-ordinary, like a one-off block. This happens all the time with the offensive line, especially in the Niners offense. But I want to show people, like, this is... You know, people are, that's a garbage play call. That's this, that's that. Like, trust me, I get frustrated sometimes with some play calls too. And I think that's just natural as a fan. But this one could have worked, and this was dialed up. I mean, you would love to see McCaffrey wide open in the middle of the field with that safety. And it's going to happen at some point or another, and we're waiting for it to happen. But it's 1 to 2 guys away from happening, right?
Well, it kind of did happen for Elijah Mitchell, and he ended up scoring, but George Kittle got called for holding in it. Right. Came back.
Somebody said they can't cross block. You could down block if you really wanted to and pull Banks out of there, but the timing would take a little longer, and then you're going to put a little bit more pressure on Kittle to handle that defensive end by himself rather than him working up to the linebacker. That play right there. That's the next one I had.
Okay.
This one was just. This is probably like one of the best throws I think I've ever seen from Jimmy. And people say, "Oh, it's not special." That's fine. You don't have to say it's special because he was open. But the fact that Jimmy's driving the ball instead of just throwing this shit out there like this little, blooper type of ball, that's like a 35-yard laser, which you never see. Before this year, at least I haven't. You never see Jimmy throw the ball with that velocity.
He did a good job here too
on a deep end like this. But but again, look at this is a concept where I talk about you can't have, when we have answers. Well, what happens if Ayuk was covered? Deebo Samuel's running across and tries to work underneath the linebacker right here. Why is he trying to go underneath the linebacker instead of going back up the field? I don't know, but Brandon Ayuk is the only person that is open on this play. So if he's not open, Jimmy has nobody else to throw to. Okay,
now,
but.
This play
we've seen talk about Ayuk because of the way he stems this corner or the defensive back and gets the safety to actually turn his hips. So go ahead and talk about it if you want to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with this play, we've seen this actually hit for a couple of touchdowns. 2019, Jimmy Garoppolo to George Kittle against the Green Bay Packers. It was a similar concept there with the corner post. 2021, Trey Lance, Debo Samuel against the Houston Texans. Same concept there on the big play action. The difference typically, and I'd assume that the receiver is playing off of the safety. So if you see the safety high, you flatten that off. Yep. And I think the quarterback here did a good job of making sure that he flattened that route off so he doesn't run upfield to a safety. Similar as Trey Lance, and I thought Trey Lance's throw flattened off Debo Samuel even more so than actual Debo's like route.
Yeah, and that's what some of the people are saying here in the comments. You don't think that Trey can make that throw? I'm not saying. Obviously, we know that Trey can make that throw. I'm just saying you don't see Jimmy throw that with the velocity that he did typically. Like it's more of a layered throw. Like this was a 35-yard laser. I thought it was a really good ball because, yeah, he's open, but just the trajectory of the ball is not typical of what we see from Jimmy.
All right, here we go. See it from the back view.
Good play action here. So they sell that stretch play action. Everybody flows. You get the backers out of position. Boom. Laser. Really good ball. Good execution. Good play call. I thought my take on this game too is I thought the Niners should have came back to play action a lot more. Like, yes, our offense has been, you would think that's how they've worked well, right? And then they went away from it. And then going back to, like, there wasn't a ton of play action calls, I didn't think, this game that were that I thought every time they did do some type of play action or close to it under center, it became really effective because now you're getting those backers that are dropping off. That Mike backer that's going to do his Tampa 2, they're dropping off into coverage. Like, you got these guys out of position. I think that they should have come back to the play action a lot more this game, but they just didn't. So then I had what was it? 23-41. I want to show something with Ayuk here that I think that needs to happen a lot more often right here. So they're going to shift out Juice right there, okay? So they get the defense in a freaking predicament right off the bat. They shift out Juice late, and they go basically I didn't even get the coverage here. I wasn't even looking. So if you go back to the pre-snap right there, so the backer's playing over the top. He widens out. So that tells me they're probably going to play man, okay, since the backer tries to go wide instead of the DB going wide, and they both get confused. And if you look up top, the backer on the edge is either coming up top over Kittle. There's a backer that's splitting the difference, and the safety over the top, right? So that tells you it's either zone or he's coming, and then that strong safety over the top of him is going to play man on him. But Jimmy knows they're going to shift out Juice, and they get both of these guys on the bottom in a predicament. But what freaking Ayuk does here, he just basically stops it up. He starts clapping at Jimmy right now, stops and claps. He knows we got him, and Jimmy recognizes it. Boom, off to the races. Get the ball out, off to the races. Croc, we can't hear you no more. Oh, no. The power took out Croc.
No. I was muted.
Here we go.
Because the dog is scratching at my back door, my office door.
Okay. So anyways, I like this from Ayuk, and I think this is something that's got to happen more, especially when teams decide to pressure the 49ers. You got that defense, or you got the linebacker that came on the top. The safety rolls down. Jimmy picks the right side, and Ayuk is smart enough to realize, oh, shit, the backer's gone. I'm going to take him now. Starts clapping at Jimmy. All you're doing is replacing a defender. And I think this is
it was cool to see Ayuk and Jimmy on the same
page.
Because
yeah.
Jimmy is already, now he's pulling the pin right as he's kind of turning to look and start clapping. So Jimmy's already pulling out.
Jimmy sees it. He knows. Ayuk knows. I mean, this is just a heads-up play. It's not one of those sexy plays on paper. Oh, Jimmy only dumped it off 8 yards. That's a good, smart play from a quarterback and a good, smart play from a receiver that is taking his game to the next level. Yeah. And I think, as everybody else is, I'm so excited about Ayuk, the way he's playing. I think that they should start taking more shots with Ayuk. I would like to see him maybe take some of those balls that Ray is getting, but I'm not going to be too picky on it. But we haven't gone back to those deep balls in a while with those guys anyways. So, 26-02. everybody wanted to know about this one, and Jesse had asked about it yesterday on Twitter, and I was talking to Jesse. I just texted him instead of just going through everything on Twitter because it would have just created this batshit crazy conversation that I didn't have time to engage in with everybody. But okay, right here. So it's a numbers game. I think Grant had posted this one talking about the swing route to McCaffrey, right? And so I'll say this. McCaffrey open, yes. Could you have taken either side? Probably.
Could you say that we see man coverage, right? Because you have some kind of combo here. You got man here. And would you pre-snap just be like, you know what?
Not man. I would say right here, based off of this, it's not man coverage.
Oh, really?
Because you got how many receivers up top?
3.
And how many defenders over him?
Yeah, but they're gonna combo this. Okay, but I see what you're saying because it's not like he was out here.
If he was walked out, I already know. That's what I told Jesse. Jesse's like, okay, what's the numbers look like? You got 2 for 2 right off the bat. You got 2 for 2 on the bottom, with McCaffrey. The backers playing outside McCaffrey, and you got Ayuk on the bottom. There's 2 for 2. Up top, in theory, you have 3 for 2 because both the backer and the safety are playing inside the hash. The play here it's a natural pick play. They're trying to get the ball to Jennings right now. The one thing that screws this up, and it's how the defense plays it, is the leverage of the point man on the defense right there that's right over Kittle. He's playing outside shade. So Kittle takes his release how he should. He gets outside and basically tries to get the corner to turn his back right now. Okay? So my thought is, if you're going to do it, it's got to happen now. And I asked Bray about this. I asked Tyler.
Real quick, before you say anything. Should Jawan maybe flatten this up and get his head around right now?
That's what I told Jesse, and I said that on Twitter. Realistically, from a quarterback perspective, you'd like to see Jennings turn right now. And that's what Bray said too. And I asked him, I said, realistically, you can look at either side. Like after the play is done, it's easy to say McCaffrey's wide ass open. I get that. I agree with you. He was wide ass open. But from a numbers perspective, and in theory, the top one from the top concept from pre-snap should have worked. If Jimmy looks like he can pull the trigger right now.
Yeah, right? If he's looking right now, Jimmy can throw it.
He can throw it to the outside shoulder. It's probably a touchdown. And Kittle's not even running around. Like Kittle's running to basically turn the shoulders of the point man there, and it turns into it's a pick, but it's not a pick, right? Because we can't say it's a pick play. And
it's a pick play. You can call it what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, and then yes, Debo did get tackled by the linebacker inside. We obviously know that one. It's pass interference. Debo gets extremely roughed up there on the inside. But
did they not call that?
No, they didn't call it. I think the ball was out. No, it was close. No, they should have called it. They missed it. But yeah, I saw that yesterday too, and I didn't notice that at first. And you could say, was the ball was throwing a touch back inside. Here's the thing. We could say everything we want to. Yeah, here we go, Chris. Kiss my ass.
He didn't give him much help.
No, here's the thing. I want you to go back. Go back. Go back to the start of it.
All right.
Is that our boy Roscoe's right there?
Yeah, that's him.
Okay, yeah. I told Chris in a Twitter DM, I said that just screwing around, the Niners are going to trade Trey Lance, go get Caleb Williams next year, and he said, hell no. So it's kind of crazy. Hey, Chris, by the way, we got extra tickets. Me and Croc got 2 tickets to the conference championship game, but since I'm a Jimmy apologist, you're going to sit your ass at home.
Yeah, he can't sit.
You're not going to the Pac-12 now. Can't sit with us. You can sit up with God where Crocker usually sits, but you ain't sitting with us down on the sidelines. We got the tickets, man. So, anyways, before this even happens, the Niners got lucky because watch McGlinchey. Go ahead and just click it to where it's gonna play, but it's not gonna play. McGlinchey jumps. Look at him.
Oh,
he false starts. I took a screenshot of it. He was already in his kick step before they even got this damn play off. So. They lucked out without this being a false start penalty because he jumps it right there. The ball's not even snapped yet. So they got lucky, but in
Chargers
theory,
offensive lineman did that how many times against Nick Bosa?
I feel like he did it over and over. But in theory, this play should have worked. I would like to see, from a quarterback perspective, you'd like to see Jennings turn his head a little bit earlier so you can just catch, boom, ball's out now, and give him an opportunity to catch that ball and run. But again, it didn't work. You could have taken the matchup on the bottom.
But nobody's open.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing, too. Stop this right now.
Oh.
This is, again, Jimmy had nothing here. He had to do this. It's 4th down. Why we're in the gun on 4th down, I don't know. I'm not the play caller. I'm not the offensive coordinator. I'm not going to be a hater. But there was nothing for him to do. Everybody's taken right there. All of them were covered. He had to just toughen up, grab his sack, and go for it in the end zone because he can't throw it away on a 4th down here. So everybody was covered. I don't really like that play call right there in that situation. I would like to see him just go under center, but that was that. So, yeah, Chris, you take it back. You're gonna have to donate more than $1.99 to Crock. Hey, Chris, you go buy drinks in Vegas for us. Maybe you could go.
I don't think Chris drinks, so he probably.
Well,
he could still buy us a drink, though.
He could buy us a drink.
Yeah,
he could cover all my pick'ems for the weekend. But anyways, let's go to 2904. Since I'm a Jimmy apologist here, let's go to 2904. I'm gonna apologize for Jimmy here. And there was, like I said, there was so much tape here that I looked at, and I didn't even honestly get to the second half really of this tape because I was looking at it for so long. I had my kids today, and I was on the phone with college coaches with the whole portal and recruiting and all of it's batshit crazy for some of my quarterbacks right now. But
who's transferring?
Nobody. I'm not saying that on here. But anyways, okay, so this was a blitz here. And I think that Jimmy needs to recognize this a little bit sooner. He needs to see the number 53 come off the edge here. So you already see, so go ahead and go back to it, Crock, right here. Go back to the first part of it. I think that Jimmy needs to recognize that safety rolling down a little bit sooner. So the play side safety right there. See how he starts to roll?
He's rolling down because he's probably going to be like
he has to man up on Kittle.
Coming down to cover the tight end.
So that tells me right there that linebacker 53 is coming because that's what we call a stack, right? They'll stack each other, and he'll start to roll down. So he should know right now. And maybe he's seen the Niner fans talking shit about him not throwing the ball past 10 yards. So he knows I'm not throwing the damn swing route on this one. I'm pushing the ball down the field because everybody's talking shit on me. But he got to recognize this. He got to recognize 53 and immediately get it to the swing now. You know you might take a shot. You got to take one of those retreat steps off platform, flip your hips, and try and get the ball out of your hands to McCaffrey right now. And he doesn't. And so they don't pick it up. The Trent Williams doesn't pick it up outside. They blitzed to the side that we were basically sliding away from, and it was good on them. And I think that Jimmy I put this on there because he's got to recognize this a little bit sooner. And I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to hit the dig up top out of the break, but it would have been much easier just to hit this damn swing route right now instead of trying to go to that dig route to Ayuk right there. And he would have had him, but it was pressure. He had to get the ball out, and so all of it could have been avoided.
Typically, I feel like, and he would have completed that to.
Yeah, it would have been there. It would have been there.
I feel like typically he would, especially the way he's been playing lately. Like
so go to the end zone view, and so really, go to the end zone view on this, and you'll see Trent Williams and Banks.
Could you possibly? I mean, he's just not looking at this.
No.
Right? Yeah, because I didn't see it either until just now. He's working here.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Yep.
I think he's thinking dig to Ayuk the whole time. He's not thinking about the check down.
They're working this little drive concept.
He's not thinking about George Kittle who would hit his head on the goalpost. He's thinking this.
Yeah, and by that point right there, the guy was already smacking him anyway. So
No, but I
it
mean,
looks
but he just.
Kittle looks open there, but before he threw the ball, I don't think he's.
But okay, so here's my thing. Right? We're just talking about matchups. Now, maybe he never saw the safety roll down, but I would think if I get a safety rolling down with Kittle going vertical, maybe I like that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. By the time
I know I'm saying
Jimmy, by the time though,
regardless of the
you might
pass
like
rush.
it. You might like it, and he does. He looks, so he'll see his eyes down the middle of the field there. So he looks. Now he sees the guy coming. Now you don't even necessarily have time to step into any of those.
I'm not
throws.
gonna lie, bro.
You're
I think he was
screwed.
throwing it. I think he was throwing it to Debo Samuel.
I think it was on a Debo. I don't know why my dog is barking like that. So hold on.
And Debo
Somebody
was
share,
strapped
that's why.
too.
Hold on 1 second. Let me mute my damn thing here.
I think Debo Samuel was strapped. David, I saw somebody else put that too about Jimmy's stats always being the same. Jimmy G came from a division, so I root for him. Ever since that 232-yard game and 3 touchdowns versus my Finns in New England, I became a fan, beating us during Brady's suspension. Huh.
All right. Well, go back real quick. Let's talk about the O-line here. Because this is really where blitz pickup is blitz recognition on Jimmy. Okay, but pause it. You got 5 guys coming. Okay. You got 53 to
94.
Which way? This way. I don't know which way it was. Yeah. Trent Williams to Trent Williams' side. Okay. Banks is going to help out with Brendel. Okay. So, in theory, you have 5 to block 5. Trent Williams. Maybe this is on Trent Williams for tipping this play right here. I think that's what it is. Damn it, Jesse. Damn it. So look at Banks. Okay, so he's helping out. His back's turned. Now he tries to get back to Trent, and it's too late. So even if Trent passed him off to the inside, they're going to get beat to the inside anyways. So this was part on this. This is on the O-line on Jimmy. Just not great execution. Yeah, there was a great spike by Juice there. But yeah, this is on both of them. Jimmy's got to recognize it, and Banks and Trent would have to work outside to the backer because you have 5 for 5 on this. Now, also, again, I don't know if we've talked about it before. I don't know if Jimmy has the abilities to go up there and change the pass pro. This could be on Brendel, but really you have 5 for 5. And Banks, looking back to help Trent, tells me that they both should be working outside, and 53 comes late. And I don't think I'd have to ask Kenny Wiggins, but Trent doesn't even see him here. So Jimmy's got to recognize that from his perspective and dump that off. So 32-19, that's the Jennings out route. 32-19 was the Jennings out route.
This would probably be the last play because
that one and the touchdown is the last play we'll go over. So right here, they roll it to what it looks like a cover 4. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Not a cover 4. It looks like a cover 3.
route.
So that defensive back right there.
This is not cover 3.
No,
You said cover 3?
That guy, yeah, but he pushes. So like both the DBs are bouncing out. Okay, and then this play size safety looks like a combo coverage, honestly. But number 19 there would be responsible.
Look at the single high safety, right?
That's the one. That's the one I'm looking at.
He definitely drops down, plays this flat footed. Like he's robbing. I think he's robbing from here. It is some kind of combo coverage.
Yeah. So then that number 19 has the flat up top and just gets torched. Instead of having the flat, he almost went flat on his ass. And Jennings makes light work of him, pissed him off. And what does he do? Shoves Jennings out of bounds, give him the ball half the distance to the goal.
That's a route.
And I love how Jennings slowed himself down on the sideline just to take the shot to get him to cheap shot him. Like Jennings is there. He kind of like slows. Boom. I think it's a cheap shot. He throws his hands up. Like, bro, you knew what you were doing. Come on now. But he pushes him up vertical, breaks him off. It's a great route, great timing. I love it. Good execution here.
Hell yeah. Step on his toes. It was that one step at the top.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
Yep. Really, really good.
I would have got me.
O-line did a
I
good
don't know
job
if I
there,
would
too.
did all that, though, because he damn near fell into the first row of the stands. I mean, look, where are you going?
Yeah, he had the flat. Like I said, he was responsible for the flats and almost went flat on his ass. It's 32-45 is the next one after. But this was good protection with the offensive line on this play. $32-45 was the touchdown that people said, Jimmy threw a bad ball, almost picked off, should have been intercepted, whatever you want to say. I think it was a good enough ball, but Tyrann Mathieu playing right there makes a good play on it, but just not quite enough. So you got to take them where you can get them. But what I was going to say is if you look at the protection, Banks gets toasted right here, and that's why Jimmy can't necessarily step into this throw and put it to where he really wants to because he has to throw this with his arm. Otherwise, if Jimmy steps into that, he's probably getting his leg taken off and can't even get his back hip through. So you want to throw from the ground up, right? So you want to get your hips and shoulders square to your target. Banks gets beat here. And if Jimmy steps into that as he's going down, he's probably getting his knee taken out. So he really can't step into it as much as you'd like.
Gotcha. Yeah, he
See how he steps and he doesn't really get his back hip through. So now it just becomes an arm throw to the sideline because your lineman got beat to the outside there.
All right, it's not like he has Eric Crocker on or anything.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, everybody said it was everything
Did
at the end of the day.
Debo open over the middle, but I mean, I know that's not part of his progression though. But
did you have Debo though? Go back and look at
yeah.
the Mike Backer sitting there.
I think
Watch
he's getting
56. Let's see it. Croc said he's going to Debo on this. Right. Oh. Croc, that's a tight window in the NFL. You know
he's
damn well.
He's looking at the running back. He's not even looking at Debo. He is not even ready to go this way.
If he threw that to Debo and it's picked off, everybody would have been up his ass.
That ain't getting picked.
Hey, it was a touchdown either way. He did throw a touchdown. Could he have thrown a little bit further? Obviously, yeah. You'd like to see him throw it a little bit further, but you'd also like to see him not get his front leg taken off, which almost happened, unfortunately. Thank God he got up because that would have been pretty rough if he got his knee taken out or his ankle taken out. So what the hell just happened?
I didn't know that my chair like moves up and down. I don't know.
You're hitting the gas pedal. You're hitting the air.
Yeah.
The hydraulics. But anyways, no, I think overall, not a great game from overall execution on a lot of the offensive front. Jennings had a really good game. I think Ayuk played really well. Besides that, there wasn't much going on. Obviously, Mitchell went down. Mitchell had a good touchdown run that should have been 20 points. Gets called back for holding. But at the end of the day, you'd like to see them have some more answers for what the defense had thrown at them. And the Niners didn't have a ton of answers. They had enough to get them past, but thank God that the defense held up. But 13 points, even 20 points with these next few games coming up is probably not going to be enough. So hopefully they can go back and look at some things, but I would anticipate the Bucks probably playing them that way. I would anticipate the Dolphins playing them that way. Probably the Seahawks playing them that way. If I was an NFL team, I would go back and watch this film and see what did the Saints do to stop the Niners offense from really cooking. And I would run exactly what the Saints did until the Niners figure it out. So we'll see what happens this upcoming week. But, yeah, I don't know. That's just my take on it. And I know you'll probably talk about some of the keys to success, but that's probably the key is figuring out a way to beat that defense. When they drop 8, they run the Tampa 2, and they take away the middle of the field. They're going to force Jimmy to throw it more outside. And And I would do it, and especially when against the Tampa 2 defense with a good hole player like that, Mike Backer, where they'll drop 7 or they're going to drop 8 and take away the middle of the field. You got to be able to run the ball.
Yeah.
And the Niners did not run the ball great. They did enough, but it wasn't great. And now Elijah Mitchell's out, so you're going to have to rely on some of the younger guys with McCaffrey, and McCaffrey's banged up too. So
yeah, and I think that might be, again, I don't know why his numbers have looked the way that they have, but they haven't been great. As far as yards per carry, I mean.
So I would anticipate probably Debo playing a little bit more in the backfield this week, but
you drafted tight of his price in the fucking 3rd round.
I know. I mean,
the dude got Jordan Mason.
He didn't do a terrible job. You know, Davis Price didn't do a terrible job when he came in the other day. It wasn't bad.
No, he didn't come in. That was Jordan.
I'm sorry.
Jordan
it was
Mason.
Mason. And he didn't do a bad job. But the offensive line, again, there was some execution things that were missed assignments. That this could have been a 3 or 4 hour film review if you really wanted it to be, and break some things down. But I didn't want to go into it that long. But I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious on what they're really going to come out with, how they're going to play. But like I said, this is probably more of this is going to be the scariest matchup, I guess, theoretically on paper, because the guy that's calling plays on the other side of the ball knows your offense like the back of his hand, and how to stop it and what makes it tick. You can say that.
Them dudes been with him, man. McVay,
no, I know.
LaFleur, them dudes been with him.
I know. But he also has one dude on his team that the Niners did a terrible job at playing in the Super Bowl. And he's probably going to go back and watch that game.
Played him, he's had
right. And a lot of teams don't necessarily play Tyreek Hill the greatest, and that's why he does what he does. But you can't play. I don't know how. Given the Niners DBs, how would you play Tyreek Hill? Would you play him in his zone or would you man him up?
I don't think it matters unless you have prime Jalen Ramsey, who just was really good at getting hands on him and disrupting everything that he wanted to do. I'm probably running.
Prime Jalen Ramsey.
Too high.
Man, this dude, Jalen Ramsey.
I'm definitely going too high. Probably a lot of cover 2. The tough thing is, even with cover 2, he ends up potentially having a 2-way go on your safety. And that can be a little tough.
This week is going to rely heavily on the Niners defensive line getting to Tua and making him try and play off schedule. That's the bottom line. They got to get to him. If they let him sit back and do that with those receivers that Miami has, it's not going to be a great showing. But yeah, somebody said Jalen Ramsey's trash. I've been saying that now for a couple of years. Most DBs that tend to talk a lot of shit will end up being trash at some point. Sherman probably made it the longest out of all of them that talked.
Deion Sanders probably.
Deion, but as of late.
Deion still.
Because I watched Jalen Ramsey get absolutely torched.
Swag, baby. Deion still talking.
Hey, I watched Jalen Ramsey get torched by Travis Kelce that day.
I feel like Ramsey has gotten kind of lazy.
Oh, for sure.
They move him around, and I think it's almost like he's too smart for his own good. I think that's part of Ramsey.
Yep.
Because Ramsey, he's very smart, but I think he's gotten so smart to the point. Like let's take me for example, right? I can go out, not with like college people or NFL guys, but let's say flag football, adult flag football. I can go out and I can be comfortable playing off coverage because I understand concepts, right? But I can't move like I once was able to. But you can kind of get in this like, okay, like I understand the concepts. I understand what they're trying to do. So I'm just a lot more relaxed. And I think Ramsey might just be a little too relaxed right now. Because they line him up in the nickel a lot. They like to play him there in that star position. He likes to play a lot with his eyes. And I think when he's playing with his eyes in man coverage, I think he has a tendency to sometimes get a little lazy. And that's what it is. I don't think it's an ability issue with Ramsey. I think that if you just said, Ramsey, Go guard that guy. Go play press. Guard that guy. Don't look at nothing else. Don't look at no concepts, no nothing. I just want you to go guard that guy. He'd be one of the best in the league.
Right.
If you just told him to just do that. The issue is you're not just telling him to do that. You're saying, all right, you're going to go out there. You're going to play in space. You're going to match guys vertically. But then if he does this, then you're going to come here and we're going to just put you like in this. It's something that I don't think is necessarily the strength of his. He's a great football player, so you just want to put him in a position where he could potentially just make plays for you. But I don't think they're just saying, Ramsey, just go guard that guy. Don't worry about nothing else. Go guard him. They're not doing that. And if they did that, I think you'd see a better version of Ramsey. I think he's worried about too much, and he gets a little lazy with his eyes.
Right. No, I agree with you. I don't want to.
Now, as a coordinator, I try to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's gonna try to overplay certain things.
But you know me as a quarterback, I'm gonna anytime a DB's talking and then they get torched over and over, you're gonna eventually take ownership of it, like multiple quarterbacks have done. So, anywho,
yeah. All right, well, that's going to do it for the show, man. Appreciate everybody that tuned in live on the YouTube channel. We was live on Twitter as well, man. If you weren't on YouTube, head over to the YouTube, Eric Crocker, until we get this stuff figured out, man. We're trying to get some there are agents out there, man. We got to get an agency behind this, man. We're trying to take this thing global. We're trying to get some really good guests on here. We are in discussions. We're getting some really good guests on here. We've had some good ones already, right? I mean, we've had some really good guests. Between Tyler Bray, I mean, he brought a lot of knowledge. We had Quincy Avery on. We had our other guy from
Ron Veal.
Yeah, Ron Veal. We had Wiggins
Kenny
on here.
Yep.
10-year NFL vet. So we've had some good guests on here, but we're trying to make this like a legit show.
Yep.
So we're working on that, but we need some money behind that shit.
It's coming. At some point soon, it's coming. But anyways, appreciate you,
All
Crocky. Right. I got to figure this out with Nate. I'm going to give Nate a call to see if we're headed to the Pac-12 championship.
Bro, you let me know. I'm there.
Chris is going to be sitting outside watching us, waving as we're walking
You see the SpongeBob with his Squidward looking out?
It's going to be like Chris is going to be in the window and we're going to be inside the game. So just for his little comments.
Yeah, and I'll already be in Phoenix, Arizona. So.
Oh, there you go.
I'll be out there Thursday. So, but yeah, I'll go.
Just a quick little
Phoenix
flight on over to Vegas then.
Oh yeah, that's a quick hop, skip, and a jump.
Somebody said, "Can Panelli get Jimmy G on since he's his agent?" Hey, actually, Tyler Bray and Jimmy have the same agent.
Oh really?
Yeah, and Tom Brady.
Donnie?
Yep. Yeah, Ian Dubin.
Ian Dubin.
Yep.
All right, man.
So,
that's gonna be it for today. Y'all know, man, we're gonna be back in the morning with the 49ers morning show. Obviously, Locked On 49ers. Make sure y'all tune into that. Greg Panelli. If y'all got quarterbacks, y'all in the Central Valley, y'all in LA, wherever you are in California, Greg Panelli, I mean, he's working with quarterbacks all up and down California, all ages. NFL quarterbacks, collegiate quarterbacks. Come on, man. Y'all saw at the start of the show. You just got a phone call from a kid saying, hey, do you want two tickets? Because the kid plays for Utah. All right. So, yeah, man, y'all tap in. You got young kids that want to play quarterback. Greg Panelli, that's the guy. That is the guy.
I appreciate it.
For you. All right. But I got to go to sleep. I got some women I got to train in the morning. And, not like that. Wow. Pause.
I got it. You said I got some women, and then just like that was my initial. Never mind.
Nah,
Stevie, don't watch this.
Stevie will be there. So
that's good. Then we're good.
So I gotta be up early. I mean, I'm up at 4:30 to get that going.
Go do your thing. Hopefully, there's no storm that drops on your head. So we'll be praying for you. Yeah. Panelli is in California. I am in California.
Panelli is in California, Central Valley.
David, we could go to the beach together. Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff. All right, man. We out of here, man. Appreciate all y'all that tuned in. I'm out. Peace.